Marincess swims into top cut here, and don't forget about Runick shenanigans. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. This is the second Refined Gaming Case Tournament in the second day, and we had two Kashtira duelists in Top Cut. Well, Robbie, wouldn't some of the same duelists, stick around? Yes, and some duelists would leave as well. You are going to get a little bit of overlap in some of the Top Cut, but not all of the Top Cut, because there are going to be different stories per each of these events. So, two Kashtira. Okay, once again, I mean, that's pretty standard. We're used to this at this point in time. Now, we had one Dragon Link player sticking around here and still doing what we came here to do. That's good. That's what I like to see. We also had Marincess. Oh, well, what happened to the rest of, the Unchained stuff that we saw? It's not here. It didn't pull through. Looks like it was kind of a one and done. Also, to be fair, you know how many people have an issue with Marincess at this point in time? They just don't know how to break the boards. It's not like the deck is incredibly crazy, but it's an annoyance. We also had one Labyrinth duelist in Top Cut. Somebody out here got the chance to play around Eradicator Epidemic Virus today. Or wait, wouldn't they be the one Eradicator? Either way, they did get the chance to perform up to the dinner table. We had a Tearlaments duelist. That definitely took me by surprise. Seeing Tear kind of creeping on up here as a deck that you need to be aware of is... I don't know, the deck has such an incredibly interesting skill curve in my personal opinion. I like that. We also had a Purrely duelist. Huh, that sounds very familiar. You're telling me that the same Purrely duelist, I don't know if it's the same at this stage, but it is still nice to see. And then we had Runick as well. And I will say that pure Runick innovations, I love them. I love the chance to see how the deck handles itself, how it evolves. It has been very, very interesting to see some of the ideas that people bring to the table out here. So a little bit different of a metagame, but still same with the little interesting things. Let's pass it over to Top Cut. Wow, this list looks familiar. Hey, you remember that Rocket Coder list that I showed off that I was like, is Rocket Coder actually good? Well, it performed again, which means, hey, Dragon Link players, if you are, trying to play this deck, maybe you should give some consideration to the Rocket Coder here, because this card seems like it's going to help out a lot of the little innovations and things out here as well. So that's actually pretty interesting. We once again see the Chaos Emperor Pendulum here getting a chance to shine, and I do like the fact that we do see the Kawaki Marrow Draco down here actually being a cute little floodgate that you can bring out. Hi, Erratic Spheres, how are you? I don't know. All the little skill lines that you get with this deck, all the little interruptions, all the little niche, points to choke out the opponent, I think really do give this deck the chance to shine a little bit more than some others. And there is a lot of potential here to be had, at least in terms of this. So I like what I'm seeing. Congratulations for pulling off top 8 twice. Next up here is, hi Kashtira, how are you again? We revisit the thought down here of the Black Garden, the Secret Village, and the Zombie World down here. The fact that all of these are metaverse targets with things that you are able to fully interrupt the opponent with is also something that you maybe should consider at this stage. Kashtira, while it is a consistent monster, it does need those lines of play that it can disrupt the opponent and at least make things look a little bit more concerning at that stage. And I think you're going to get that here with all of these different little lines of play. Also, if you're worried about Rika's on Avalon, Zombie World's going to give this deck a chance to play around some of the more annoying fields that the deck can actually put up. So I think it's actually pretty good at the end of the day. But outside of that, deck looks consistent. It had double the results, double the consistency, and I think that's fine. Next up here, we hit our Marincess duelist. Yes. So straight off the bat, we are playing the Sleepy Maiden, which is fine. We are doing double Battle Ocean. Finally, somebody understands. My favorite part is when the Battle Ocean actually gets outed, and then your opponent looks at you, you're like, do you play the second? You're like, Typically, it does come up. On the off chance that you do have to have the recovery play, it's fine. Double wave, this is pretty standard at this point in time. Or excuse me, double dive. And then we're playing the one copy of the wave. Do keep in mind that wave has been kind of starting to see a lot less play. I mean, obviously, you want to try to have this card at all points because it is 100% searchable. But if you do get into the grind game, that's where you do kind of lose a little bit of the impact this has. But one wave should get the chance to do everything that you need it to. Outside of that, deck looks incredibly good. Standard water toolbox at its finest. Gotta love Marincess. Next up here, we have Labyrinth. Hi, Destructive Daruma Cannon. How are you? The TCG exclusive monster. I also see that we're citing Heavy Stormduster and the Imperial Iron Wall down here. Okay, we are main decking the Eradicator, so you can set it in the case of any bad matchup that you need. And we're actually main decking triple super polymerization here. Now, this feels a little bit weird to me. The fact that you're trying to hit and make sure that you can see this card to out anything. We're playing the Almarduke, Starving. We're also playing this, the Praskini and the Furious Dragon. Yeah, this Super Poly should be able to round out any of your matchups to make sure that you can capitalize and get the chance to play the game. Very, very interesting, but at the end of the day, I mean, this deck did perform into a top 8. Yeah, also shout out to some of them here. You flip this card, your opponent's going to stare at you, and they're going to go, that's not fair. I want to continue to play the game. Well, unfortunately, no, you're not going to. Next up here, we have our Tearlaments player. Okay, so in terms of the pile that Tier has left going for it here, love all the one-ofs that we've seen here. Playing the double Fenrir, obviously, Fenrir into Fenrir, Fenrir into the Tearlaments, Kashtira is fine. We're hard playing the polymerization with the triple King of the Swamp here. That's going to be the big indicator for big old Guardian Chimera down here to have preventative measures to make sure that he can do his thing. Honestly, the biggest things with this are the little extensions that you're seeing here with the Shadal package to kind of give this deck a little bit more oomph so it can do its thing. And we're citing the Shadal Dragon as well, but looking at this, deck feels pretty consistent the way it looks. There's nothing out of the left field down here that screams too different to me. Yeah, I guess maybe the inclusion of the Schism in the main deck, but I think that's fine. Like, you want to make sure that you are going to get the chance to win to your opponent on the defense. Let's see here. We have Purrely. Hey, this is also very familiar to us. Right. We're seeing the 6 books here. They're getting the chance to do their thing. Of course, to the people that were trying to only play 2 Purrely at the end of this, what are you doing? All right, stick to the 3-ofs here. You also get the chance to see that Nibiru was a pretty good call here. All real things, I mean, there was no sprite that this deck had to worry about. So, like, you're going to get full value off of the Space Rock here at all points in time, which is good. We're still playing the 1 copy of our friend Nor down here. And then, of course, all of the interruptions that you could ever want. Well, Robbie, do I ever want the 3rd leap? You could have the 3rd leap in terms of deck building, but I feel like you're just going to run into more and more bricks if you try to extend this out too far. The deck's already on 41. 42 I don't think would be that much of an interruption in terms of change, but the deck looks like it did work out pretty good. And, hey, it's our other Tearlaments, or excuse me, our other Kashtira duelist here. This list also looks very, very familiar. You're once again seeing that double evenly matched with no thrust. We are side decking an enemy controller for additional interruption with the Change of Heart here as well. I love the fact that this in the mirror match, you just take your opponent's monster, like, oh, you've already done the thing. Let's go ahead and slap on down that Arise Heart here and continue on along with our day. Outside of that, the Lava Golems are also pretty cool. I'm glad to see that we have had a little bit of a reversion back to playing Lava Golem. While some builds are like, hey, maybe I don't want to play the Lava Golem. If your opponent sets up 2 monsters that are going to be threats to you, this immediately outs them and makes sure that you can continue to pressure your opponent, all right? And let's call it what it is, all right? If you don't have room for Lava Golem or you don't think Lava Golem's good, you can extend out and play more spells. More defensive options like the books is not going to be a bad thing. And then we have our Runick duelist. We're on a 3/3/3 here, which is pretty normal. The sales ban is interesting to me. Obviously, getting to declare a card name, blank whatever your opponent could have for the turn so you can go ahead and play the game is fine. I also find it very interesting that we are playing the Amano Awato in here as well. I have been liking the Vanity or the Majesty's Fiend a little bit more because it does clear something off of the extra monster zone for you to get the chance to play, but I mean, you have all of this. All of this will take care of everything that you need. The ratios up here are fine. And then, of course, the Dark Bribe versus the Solemn Judgment for the deck thinning. Make sure your life points are stable. And then we do see the sided border in here as well. And then, of course, in case you need the emergency provisions for time, the fact that this deck can just burn off, activate all the Runick spells, and slam down, an emergency provisions just to gain 1,000 life points for each. That's beautiful. But I like everything I'm seeing here. Also, shout out to Lingaribo here. Deck's actually getting a chance to play one. Also, one horse. Excellent. So what do you guys think about the breakdown for Refined Gaming's case tournament? Please leave a comment down, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.